You are watching Caribbean Vibrations TV, and we're here at the 2018 edition of the Canex Conference, and we're here with Miss Bo Money. How are you doing today?
Great, I'm wonderful, and thank you for interviewing me.
You know what? I was in the session that you were talking with the women in cannabis, which I really appreciate because, right now it's a male-dominated society, but there was a lot of women saying a lot of interesting things. And for me, what really brought me to want to speak to you is INDICA. Tell us about your organization.
INDICA is the National Diversity and Inclusion Cannabis Alliance. I created INDICA last year because what I found was that there was not a lot of people that looked like me in this cannabis industry, which is unacceptable. Because with the war on drugs, it put a lot of our black and brown people in prison, and a lot of them are still in prison. And this is why we need to decriminalize, and we need to make sure that our people are able to create generational wealth, because this is what this industry is about to bring us. So with INDICA, we basically work with social equity. And in Los Angeles, Oakland, Sacramento, and San Francisco, we have social equity programs. So they're very unique because they're not around the country, and they need to be. So that's what our organization does is we go around the nation to work with the different states on creating and shaping a social equity program for them.
Now, you were telling me about the social equity program they have in Los Angeles. Explain that to us.
The social equity program was designed to bring underground cultivators and also underground dealers to the legal market. So what it is that for every one general licensed retail, that would be dispensaries, there has to be 2 issued to qualified social equity applicants. And what qualifies them would be low income, cannabis conviction, and also coming from a zip code that was impacted by the war on drugs. And then we have a second tier that you don't have to have a cannabis conviction, but you do have to be low income and you have to come from a zip code that was impacted by the war on drugs. Now with the cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution, that's a 1-to-1. So for every one general license issued, there has to be 1 issued to, again, a social equity applicant.
Now, we're here in Canada, and Canada is decriminalizing everything. Will you guys be coming up to Canada? Are you working with companies in Canada now?
We are, and unfortunately, they're not allowing people that work in cannabis in Canada to come to the U.S., which is just ridiculous. I mean, I just don't understand that, because it's really about globally working together. All of us should be working together for the greater good, of bringing this plant to the forefront. Because we'd like to bring more black farmers into the cannabis space and the hemp space, because ultimately, again, they're going to be left out. And so, and that's another issue as well, is because they are not allowing people that have convictions to work in the hemp space, which is ridiculous because there's no psychoactive parts of hemp. So again, those are the things that we have to work to change. I have the first black hemp farm in Wisconsin. So it's going to be a social equity hemp farm. So my partners actually have owned the land. They are black farmers that have owned this land over 60 years. So now we're able to put it to use and, and create jobs and ownership for people of color.
Well, I love your whole story. We're going to definitely stay in touch with you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And you're watching Caribbean Vibrations.